Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. This week we're going to talk about National Bird Feeding Month, and we'd like to thank the Family Burrito Podcast for liking and sharing our podcast. An Illinois congressman proposed February should be National Bird Feeding Month, and it was established in 1994. February was identified as one of the most difficult months in the U.S. for wild birds. And during National Bird Feeding Month, individuals are encouraged to provide food, water, and shelter to help wild birds survive. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, birdwatching is a hobby for about 45 million people, and more than 50 million people feed birds. National Bird Day is January 5th, and that was started in 2002.
Why isn't it in February?
National Bird Day is a worldwide event, so they wanted to bring attention to birds that were in danger of extinction, and they just picked January 5th. As far back as 1918, the U.S. Department of Agriculture had a campaign encouraging homeowners to feed birds in winter. That way you had more birds in summer to eat caterpillars, grubs, beetles, and insects that could destroy flowers, vegetables, and fruit. The Humane Society says it's not necessary to feed birds all year round except for hummingbirds and goldfinches. They say wild birds can use an extra source of food in winter and early spring when natural food sources are depleted, especially in cold climates.
Right.
They suggest putting feeders in an area safe from predators, at least 12 feet away from brush piles, evergreen trees, or bushes where predators can hide, because they're also hungry in winter. They say put chicken wire around ground level feeders, and in winter they recommend black oil sunflower seeds, peanuts, white proso millet, suet cakes, Niger seeds, and cracked corn.
Because it appeals to more birds?
Right. The Humane Society says don't feed birds bread because it doesn't have good nutritional value, and moldy bread can harm birds.
How about croutons?
And no croutons. They say don't feed birds chocolate because it's toxic to birds, and don't feed them table scraps. It may not be safe or healthy for birds because of the oils, garlic, or spices that it has in it, and it also attracts mice and rats. They say place feeders at different heights, one at ground level, one at table level, and one up high on a pole or hanging from a tree. The University of New Hampshire says in winter months when natural food is scarce, a little high-quality, nutritious food makes survival easier for wild birds. In summer, birds consume protein-rich insects and spiders, and then in winter, many birds have to switch to eating seeds and fruit. So the key to attracting and feeding a variety of species is offering a variety of seeds, nuts, suet, and fruit.
All right.
For bird seed, pick a sturdy feeder that will keep seeds dry and it's easy to take apart and clean. And they recommend only putting enough seed in the feeder that the birds can eat in a day or two, and it's going to limit waste and spoilage. Suet is best in a mesh bag or a wire basket suspended from a pole or a tree. Don't put salt in a bird bath to try to prevent freezing. High salt consumption can be toxic to birds. It affects their nervous system. Use a bird bath immersion style heater to help keep water from freezing so they have drinking water and they have water to bathe. Some top-rated bird baths come from K&H, and it's just the letter K and the letter H. Farm Innovators, it's F-A-R-M, capital I-N-N-O-V-A-T-O-R-S, and Songbird Essentials, S-O-N-G, capital B-I-R-D, capital E-S-S-E-N-T-I-A-L-S. The article I read from the University of New Hampshire said only put out bird feeders from December 1st to April 1st to help prevent problems with attracting bears.
That would be a problem.
The National Audubon Society has some tips for feeding birds in winter. They say have feeders at different heights and different areas. Some birds like to eat in shrubs or trees, and some like to eat at ground level or up high. Also have a variety of seed. The 3 most popular seeds that appeal to the greatest variety of birds are black oil sunflower seeds, Niger seeds, and peanuts. Only provide suet in winter. Suet for birds is generally made from beef fat, and it can turn rancid in summer.
Yeah.
Really. They say the common size for suet cakes is 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches and 1.5 inches thick. And it goes into a cage, or you can put it into a cage that you can hang up. Some common ingredients in suet cakes are sunflower seeds, pork fat, coconut oil. You can also get suet cakes with nut, fruit, and mealworms in it. They recommend providing fruit for berry-eating birds.
What kind of fruit?
So small fruit like blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. They also mentioned oranges, apples, cherries, and grapes. And store your bird seed in secure metal containers to keep out insects and rodents.
What about 5-gallon buckets?
Or 5-gallon buckets. If you're using a 5-gallon bucket, get something that's marked or stamped food safe. That way you know there's no dyes or recycled material that could be harmful. And I really like the removable airtight screw-down lids.
Me too.
Because they're very easy to open and close. So there's a couple top-rated companies. One is Gamma Seal. It's Gamma, capital SEAL, and Leak Tight. It's LEAK, capital TITE. And it's a 2-part system. You have a ring that snaps onto the top of the 5-gallon container, and it has threads on it. And then the lid has a seal that screws down onto that. And so you get an airtight seal. The Audubon Society recommends using squirrel-resistant feeders. And to prevent birds from flying into windows, put your bird feeder within 3 feet of a window or move it more than 10 feet away from a window. Because they say about 1 billion birds die every year from flying into windows.
That seems crazy.
Yeah, amazing. They recommend emptying and cleaning your feeder at least twice a year. Use hot, soapy water, scrub it, then rinse it thoroughly and allow it to dry completely before you put bird feed back into it.
Yeah.
Cornell University Lab of Ornithology says black oil sunflower seeds attract the greatest number of bird species. They're nutritious, high in fat. Their small size and thin shell make them easy for small birds to handle and crack open. Striped sunflower seeds are larger and have a thicker shell that's harder to open. They say you can save the seeds from squash and melons for birds. If you carve Halloween pumpkins, you can save the seeds, spread them out on trays to dry, and then use them to feed the birds.
My dad loved pumpkin seeds, so when we carved pumpkins, my mom used to wash the seeds and spread them out on a baking sheet and then bake them in the oven.
Right.
And me and my sister weren't allowed to have them.
Oh, wow. Did you like them?
Just for my dad, yeah.
But you weren't allowed to have them.
No, I don't know why. She did the same. I didn't know I liked sweet potatoes until I was an adult.
Really?
Because when she would make sweet potatoes, it was just for the adults.
For Dad?
No, my dad didn't like them. But it was just...
Other adults.
Yeah, other adults
That's
at
funny.
the party. Weirdo.
I was looking at a couple recipes. Perky Pet, the company that makes bird feeders, they had a recipe for preparing pumpkin seeds for birds. They say preheat your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, wash off the pumpkin seeds and remove all the pulp and debris, lightly grease a cookie sheet with 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, spread out all the seeds into a single layer, and bake for around 40 minutes, turning them every 5 minutes.
Seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, really. And they say remove them when they're lightly brown, allow them to cool, and then put them in your bird feeder. They say larger birds really like pumpkin seeds.
Cool.
Another recipe I saw was for eggshells, which are good for birds because they're high in calcium, And it's especially important for female birds who need calcium to create the shells for their own eggs, and it's difficult to find in nature. So they recommend keeping all of your old egg shells, rinse them out, and then bake them in the oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. Then once they're cool, crush them up and scatter them on your lawn. I read a couple studies on bird feeder color and if color attracts birds. And a couple research studies found that blue and green seem to attract more birds than red or yellow. But they say the key to attracting birds is having multiple feeders with popular seed like black oil sunflower, along with having water available. And then no cats or dogs in the yard.
Tricky.
Where the Audubon Society recommends cleaning a bird feeder at least 2 times a year, Cornell University recommends cleaning a bird feeder every couple weeks and routinely rake and clean the ground under the feeder.
Wow, this is turning into a lot of work.
Well, they say decomposing birdseed hulls can hold bacteria and mold that can spread disease to birds.
How much birdseed should you buy for the winter?
So you can start out with a small bag and see how many birds you have in the area. You can get 5 or 10 pound bags. There are also 20 and 40 pound bags if you're going to have multiple feeders or you have a lot of birds in the area. If the bird feeder holds 2 pounds, you might need to refill it every few days in some areas or once a week or longer. If you fill it once a week over winter for 3 months, you would only need 24 pounds of seed.
Only.
If you filled it every other day, you'd need 90 pounds of birdseed.
Tricky. Find a sale price.
I read an interesting article on how wild birds sleep. It's called unihemispheric slow wave sleep. Half of the bird's brain is in a deep sleep, and the corresponding eye is usually half closed, while the other side of the brain is alert and that corresponding eye is open, so it can watch for predators.
That's creepy.
Wild. Some birds can adjust how deep it sleeps by adjusting how wide their eye is open. And scientists are studying migrating birds that may go into unihemispheric sleep. Half of the brain is asleep, while the other half of the brain is controlling flight.
Wow.
Some top-rated bird feeders come from Perky Pet. It's P-E-R-K-Y, capital P-E-T. Droll Yankees. It's D-R-O-L-L, capital Y-A-N-K-E-E-S. Nature's Way, N-A-T-U-R-E-S, capital W-A-Y. And Brome Bird Care, B-R-O-M-E, capital B-I-R-D, capital C-A-R-E. Some top-rated birdseed comes from Katie. It's K-A-Y-T-E-E. Wagner's, W-A-G-N-E-R-S. Lyric, L-Y-R-I-C. And Wild Delight, W-I-L-D, capital D-E-L-I-G-H-T.
Do you have anything else to add?
Bird watching and feeding birds in winter is a nice hobby for kids and older adults. And a study from the University of Michigan found spending 2 hours a week outside enjoying nature improves memory, it improves a sense of well-being and happiness, and you absorb more vitamin D.
We should go outside. Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our ebooks, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, books 1 through 15 on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow Cindy on Twitter @FixitCohost, and you can follow us on Instagram, Fix It Home Improvement.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.